What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my builds guide and unit review of Attuned Triandra, Rearmed Sonya, and Hestia. So in my opinion, Attuned Triandra is definitely the star of this banner because of the support that she can provide from her weapon, and even if her echo skill is not as good as Peony, I still think that she is an amazing dancer. So she is a sword flyer this time around, and she's an attuned unit with Death Blow Echo as the X skill. And she does come with Flower of Tribute as her preferred weapon, which gives her minus in special cooldown. And for the foes that are within 3 rows and 3 columns centered on Triandra, those foes are going to be taking 5 damage as their combat begins. And this is same damage as Flared Sparrow, but she doesn't really set up the flame terrain. So this kind of damage is extremely good because it ignores the damage reduction of the enemy. And it cannot really kill the enemies, but still this is amazing effect to have on a dancer because this kind of support is really unique, and the best part is that this stacks up with Flared Sparrow. So if you use nukes like Brave Gulvig or any kind of unit with Flared Sparrow, then they're going to be having that damage added along with Triandra's damage. And if you run multiple Triandras, then all of this damage is going to be stacking up, which can actually get pretty dumb. And then she can also inflict -5 speed and defense debuff on those foes in their combat. So this kind of long-range support is really good, especially for something like Aether Raids offense or Aether Raids defense. And at start of combat, if her HP is at or above 25%, then she herself can get +5 to all of these stats, and also gets true damage based on 20% of her speed, and this doesn't really include the AoE special. So it's a pretty decent combat weapon. I kind of wish that it had these special charges, would have made her even more insane of a dancer to be used in Aether Raids offense Gale Force teams, but still this can help her have better damage output, and she does have good offenses for a dancer with 46 base speed and 44 base attack, both having a super boon. Attuned heroes are a new type of hero that we have got in FEH, and they do come with the attuned skills or the echo skills, which do open up the X slot, and Triandra's attuned skill is Death Blow Echo, so it can give the Death Blow 2 effect in the player phase, which is pretty tame, but still it can be helpful to any kind of unit who's going to be having Brave Weapon or they're going to be focusing on their player phase. So getting the extra attack can be pretty nice. Any kind of unit can inherit the skill and make use of it, except for the healers. Now just to quickly go over the attuned heroes and the echo skills, it basically opens up a new X slot where these echo skills are going to be equipped. So it's a completely new skill slot that we have available from these attuned heroes. And functionally, attuned heroes do work like Rearmed heroes, except for the fact that they have got an echo skill instead of an arcane weapon, and you can just inherit the skills from them without losing them. So that's pretty good. And then you can also use them for the skill duplication or skill chaining, which can be helpful if you're trying to pass on multiple rare skills at the same time and you want to merge up the attuned hero. And just like Rearmed units, they're not going to be available in the normal summon pool, so you will have to look out for the banners where they're going to be available, and hopefully there you can get them. And just like Rearmed heroes, you do get the visual cues whenever the inheritance is used, and units with preferred weapons can still make use of the echo skills, which is really good. But keep in mind that you cannot really use the echo skills on units with preferred skills. So preferred weapons are allowed, but preferred skills are not. So stuff like exclusive passive skills, specials, or assist skills are not going to be allowed. The only non-inheritable assists which are allowed are the vanilla, dance, sing, and play skills, which a lot of the older dancers have. So you have to keep this in mind before inheriting these skills, because if your unit has got a preferred skill that is really good, then you probably don't want to replace it with some kind of echo skill. And some of the older units do have the older preferred skills which they don't really care about, like Ascended Celica for example, who can just run Magical Null follow-up in place of Soul of Zofia. So for those kinds of units, you can still run the echo skill and replace their preferred skill with something else. And when it comes to the game modes, these skills are not going to be appearing in the holo forms, and they're always going to be unlocked from the start in Seer Snare. Binding World Formas will come with an echo skill if they were originally equipped with those by their original summoner. So it's kind of similar to the arcane weapons, you can essentially get that from the Binding World as well. And your summoner unit can equip the echo skills that you have, and there's no effect on the arena scoring, which is a really big thing, which a lot of people were worried about. And finally, attuned heroes can only run their own echo skills with their preferred skills. Like Triandra for example cannot really use Attack Oath Echo with her preferred dance. So even though Attack Oath Echo is better, if you want to use the preferred dance of Attuned Triandra, then you still have to use the Death Blow Echo skill that she has got. Attuned Triandra does come with a preferred dance in Harrowing Dream, which does refresh the target ally's action. And it also inflicts the following effects on the foes in the cardinal direction of unit and the target ally. So she can debuff the foes for -5 to all of their stats and also inflict them with the guard status just like the original Triandra. But this Triandra can also inflict the sabotage status, which goes really well with the debuffs that she's going to be inflicting on the opponent. So this kind of supportive dance is really good, but I think the support from her weapon is a lot more unique and is really amazing for many of the team compositions. And then for her base kit, she does have Attack Speed Clash 4 and also the tier 4 version of Flow Refresh. So it is still going to be only active when the unit initiates combat, so it's still a player phase only skill. And this is going to be inflicting -4 speed and defense debuff on the opponent. And you can also get the offensive half of the null follow-up just like the other flow skills. And now the Flow Refresh 4 does give you 40% damage reduction on foe's first attack and heals up 10 HP to the unit after the combat. So the healing has increased and it also gives you the damage reduction, which is definitely pretty nice. But still, there are going to be many skills on cavalry and flying units which are going to be competing with this. The best users of Flow Refresh 4 are going to be the units that are going to be focusing on their player phase, and they can make use of the half null follow-up from this, and also they want to take the counterattack of the enemy. So this is useful on many of the Arcane Downfall Cavaliers and Flyers because Arcane Downfall doesn't really give you any kind of guaranteed follow-up attack, so getting the half null follow-up can be helpful with this flow skill. And you can get the Canto from Alarm Attack Speed, and Flared Sparrow is going to be the ultimate player phase option, and you do get the in-combat healing with Arcane Downfall, and then you can heal up even more HP after the combat with Flow Refresh. Someone like Noah who can get the dodge status from his weapon can also make use of the damage reduction by stacking it up, and he can also make use of this half null follow-up, and he already comes with an Alarm skill. And when it comes to Sword Flyers, a lot of them just want to run Flow Desperation, Aerial Maneuvers, or Gambit, or Guard Bearing. But if you just want to focus on your player phase with something like a Gale Force build, then you can try and run Flow Refresh, and Rain Snap skills are going to be pretty good on these flyers. So it could be done, but this is definitely not a skill you're going to be seeing too much, even though it's a pretty nice upgrade. Overall, Attuned Triandra is an amazing supportive dancer, and she herself can function in the combat as well. And the biggest thing that makes her stand out as a dancer is easily the weapon that she has got, which can deal 5 damage to the foe as their combat begins. And this is going to be amazing for many of your nukes. And the fact that this can stack up with Flared Sparrow and the Flame Terrain is absolutely amazing. And the enemy is going to be taking that damage before they can do anything. So this can help you nuke them and kill them a lot easily. And this can definitely be really helpful in Aether Raids offense and also in defense, as you'll see later on. So I really like the supportive aspect of her weapon, and also, of course, having that dance. Unfortunately, her inheritance might not be the best thing for many people because it is going to be hard to get the tier 3 version of Flow Refresh skill because we don't really have easy access to it. But you can still try and inherit as many skills as you can at the same time if you're going to be inheriting Deathblow Echo from her. If you're going to be running her on a budget, then you can run the Odd Tempest or the Even Tempest Sacred Seal so that you can have more movement as a dancer to dance your allies. I also want to give a heads up that Rain Snap skills do not work on these dancers and refreshers, so keep that in mind before inheriting any kind of Rain Snap skill on these dancers, because that is a mistake you don't want to be making, and the description of the skill explicitly states that. Glimmer can be the special of choice because of the defense debuffs that she can do with her dance and also with her weapon and the hold skill, so it can work out for her. And if you want to make use of her as a dancer even more, then Wings of Mercy 3 is a pretty nice budget option that you can run, and it does work really well with the Clash skill as well, even when you teleport. So it can work out, and you can just run any kind of Drive Sacred Seal or Tactic Sacred Seal depending on your team and the support that you want. Finally, if you do have a lot of premium supportive skills, then you can give her Firestorm Dance 3 and also Guidance 4. She can also run Rock Slide Dance from Attuned Peony, but I think that with the kind of support that she provides, with the 5 damage and everything, I think that the Desperation status from Firestorm Dance 3 is a lot better, and this can also provide her with the Canto after she dances someone, so it can be really good for retreating, and she can make use of the teleportation of Aerobatics so that she can jump and then dance someone and then retreat with Firestorm Dance. And you can also run Guidance 4 or Soaring Guidance, the absolutely amazing flyer mobility skills, which are top tier. And if you're going to be running her in Aether Raids offense, then she can function as a pretty nice Gale Force dancer. And if you don't really have Na or Legendary Hinoka or really anyone who can give her the special charges status, then unfortunately you'll have to run Heavy Blade Sacred Seal, and meeting the Heavy Blade checks is not really the easiest task. but still with her attack super boon, you can definitely try it out. And even though Deathblow Echo is pretty tame, every single point of attack matters when it comes to Heavy Blade checks in Aether Raids offense. So she can provide that extra damage for your Gale Force team, which is really helpful because nowadays so many units are so bulky, and without any kind of special damage on a Gale Force team, it is going to be a bit hard to take on many of the bulky threats. So the damage support that she can provide from Flower of Tribute is absolutely amazing for a Gale Force team. And she can also be run on a hit and run team because of the damage that she provides, and especially with someone like Brave Gulvig who already has Flared Sparrow and the extra action, it could be really good. And if you're going to be investing even more for Aether Raids offense, then Flared Sparrow is easily going to be the best slotty skill that you can run because the damage does stack from her weapon with Flared Sparrow, and it is going to be setting up the flame terrain, which can be really helpful for getting even more damage on the opponent so that you can get the kills on them. And you can run Quicken Pulse so that Gale Force becomes a 3 cooldown special. And if you run her with Asker and Garrick, then you can easily bring down Gale Force to 1 cooldown, which is going to be making it a lot easier for her to trigger that. And after triggering Gale Force, she can also dance up an ally. If you do plus and merge her, then she can also be used in Arena, even though she's not going to be scoring the highest, but at the very least, she does have a high scoring dance, unlike many of the dancers. So she can run this kind of build in Arena with Firestorm Dance 3, Guidance, or Soaring Guidance, and you can just run a teleporting Sacred Seal, as you're going to be able to Canto afterwards, and Ruptured Sky can be the special of choice. If you're going to be running her in Aether Raids defense, then she can do a fantastic job there, because she is going to be giving extra damage to her nukes, and especially on a flyer line, if you run units with Flared Sparrow like Legendary Hinoka or Brave Gulvig, then this kind of damage can stack up and be really annoying for the opponents. And she can be run with Freyr so that she doesn't really have to worry about getting isolated, so that can easily get rid of the isolation, and that is something you'll have to keep in mind if you run her in the Dark Season. So she can just run Soaring Guidance on a flyer line, and if you're going to be running her on some kind of other team that is low threat range, then you can still make use of the Hold skill that she comes with, or you could even run Guidance for depending on the fodder that you've got. So on a flyer line, Legendary Hinoka can provide the charge status to Triandra, so this way she can follow up and dance up the other flyers who have got the charge status. Flared Sparrow stacking is something that I would recommend, and you can even run Duma if you want to get that upheaval damage, because that can be really annoying, especially with a high threat range team. But again, for Mortis is just a better mythic if you're gonna have a near save or far save for your high threat range team. Rearmed Sonya is a green infantry mage this time around as well, and she has got Arcane Caliburnius as the Arcane Green Tome, and I've made a full video going over the best users of this weapon, so you can check it out if you want to fodder her for this weapon. So Arcane Caliburnius does give her minus on special cooldown, which makes Blazing Wind into a 3 cooldown special, and at start of combat if her HP is at or above 25%, then she can get +5 to all of these stats, and also gets the guaranteed follow-up attack, which is pretty nice because she's not the fastest unit, and she also gets special cooldown charge +1 on both enemies' attacks and her own attacks. So this can allow her to trigger her specials a lot easily and even loop them, and she finally has got the neutralization of foes' buffs to their attack and resistance. So overall this is going to be a pretty decent weapon, and her slotty skill is what makes her unique as a green infantry mage. So her slotty skill Beyond Witchery gives her +8 to all of her stats, and these are the visible stats just like Fury skill. So this is going to be helping you get more damage output out of the AoE specials, and also help you trigger your ploy skills. And then at start of turn, she can grant herself -X special cooldown and also deal self damage to herself. So on turn 1, this is going to be -2 special cooldown and also 2 HP self damage. And after turn 1, she's going to be able to get -1 special cooldown at sort of every turn and do 1 self damage. So this is going to be enabling the usage of Escape Route 4 for her, which is really nice because she can get the Canto out of it and also Warp. And getting -2 special cooldown at start of turn 1 means that you're going to be able to pre-charge your AoE special at the start of turn 2. And you can even just pre-charge Iceberg immediately. And finally, the skill also gives her the Null Guard effect or the half tempo offensive effect. So she's going to be ignoring the guard skills of the enemies. So this is going to be helping her loop her AoE special with the special charges from the weapon, and also the special cooldown that you can get at the start of the turn. And this can also help you trigger Iceberg twice in a single round of combat. So having Null Guard effect while having the special charges is really good, because a lot of the other mages would have to run some kind of tempo skill, and then they would miss out on running Special Spiral 4 or Magical Null Follow-Up, but that is not going to be the case with Sonya. So this slotty skill definitely helps her quite a lot, even though Arcane Caliburnus is not exactly the weapon for AoE nuking, but still because of her visible attack stat, and with this slotty skill, she can do a lot of damage with her AoE specials. She also has Attack Res Ploy 3 as her slotty skill, so this is the second Ploy 3 skill that we have gotten after Rearmed Plumeria, and this does debuff the attack and resistance of the enemy in 3 rows or 3 columns centered on Sonya, and you will have to win the resistance check to trigger this skill, which is not going to be that hard for Sonya with her high resistance and also with Beyond Witchery. So this is going to be giving you the debuff and also inflicting the Ploy status on the enemies, which is going to be neutralizing their bonus doubler, visible status effect, treachery status effect, and most importantly, grand strategy status effect of Legendary Male Robin. So these are going to be the visible status effects that you can neutralize of the enemy. It is not going to be neutralizing the effects if it is built into their weapon or their slotty skill or something like that. So this is mainly talking about the visible status effects that you can get from Legendary Eliwood, Young Eliwood, grand strategy from Legendary Male Robin, and you can also inflict the exposure status on the enemy, and any kind of enemy that has got this kind of exposure status on them, it is going to be enabling all of your allies to get plus 10 true damage per hit on their attacks, which is really good. And Sonya herself makes amazing use of this because this is going to be giving her plus 10 damage to her AoE specials as well. So this is going to be helping Sonya nuke a lot better, especially with her base attack of 47, which has a super boon. So yeah, the AoE specials are going to be hurting, and she also has 45 base resistance, and it also has a super boon. So she has got the super boons and 2 of her most important stats. So this is going to be enabling her to trigger the ploy skills a lot better, and against a lot of the dragons with scout skills or dragon wall, she's going to be able to ignore a lot of those skills because of the high resistance that she can get. Overall, Rearmed Sonya is an amazing green mage infantry nuke and can function as an AoE nuke, and the self damage that she does from Beyond Witchery is not only going to be helpful for enabling escape route right from the get-go, but it can also help you just set up the Wings of Mercy teams in Aether Raids offense. And the fact that she has got Null Guard in her slotty skill is really helpful, especially on some of the competitive teams with Brattle Catria, because she's going to be able to trigger her special on the Brave hit, and because of the Null Guard, it is not going to be stopped by any kind of guard skill, and she can also pre-charge her specials, which is quite self-sufficient. If you're going to be using her for the inheritance, then you can get all of the premium skills from her at the same time by getting Escape Route 3 and also Attack Ploy or Resistance Ploy as the prerequisites. And a lot of high resistance mages can make good use out of this ploy skill, especially in Aether Raids offense and defense, and also in Arena, where you're going to be facing quite a bit of Legendary Male Robin and Legendary Eliwood, so there it can be helpful. But for Summoner Duels, the range of the ploy skill is not going to be big enough, but still, it is going to be helpful in many of the competitive game modes. If you're going to be building her up, then you can just resistance refine her weapon so that she can have better resistance check for her ploy skills. And you can also run Squad Ace BU3, which is going to be giving you extra attack and resistance, and also extra HP. So this is a pretty nice Sacred Seal that you can run on her. And with the self damage, you can easily enable Escape Route 4 and get the Canto 1, which is good for an infantry unit. Now, if you really want to loop her AoE specials after every combat and not at the start of every turn, then you can run Special Spiral 4, which can give her even more true damage for her AoE specials. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to pierce through the damage reduction of the enemies by running AoE special, but still. And Stillwater is also a pretty good Sacred Seal for increasing your visible resistance and giving you more attack for the AoE specials. And if you want to pierce through the damage reduction of the enemies, then Iceberg is the special that you can run, which is immediately going to be charging up at sort of turn 1, and then you can easily loop it with Special Spiral. And if the enemy survives the first Iceberg, then you can actually trigger it again because of the special charges and the Null Guard that she's got in her kit. And she can just nuke really hard with her resistance, especially if you ascend her asset. And she can also be used in Aether Raids offense, like I mentioned before, for setting up Wings of Mercy of your team. So if you don't really have Winter Bernadetta or Spring Bernadetta, then she could be an option, as she can do that self damage. And then you can have a Mythic unit with Ardent Sacrifice, and then a Gale Force Initiator with Reciprocal Aid. And you can basically use her self damage to set up Wings of Mercy for all of your allies for a Gale Force team. And she herself can run Glacies or Iceberg as a special. I like Glacies a lot because it is going to be hitting really hard, and she could just pop in with Wings of Mercy and do a lot of damage for cleaning up the units, or even make use of an AoE special if you want to, but I do like Glacies a bit more, and she can also be run in Aether Raids defense as a pretty good mage nuke on a Brattle Catria team because she does have Null Guard in her weapon, so at sort of turn 1, she's going to be having 1 cooldown Glacies, and with the Brave attack, she's going to be able to trigger Glacies, and that is going to be completely piercing through any kind of damage reduction because of Special Spiral 4, and Hardy Bearing could be a good Sacred Seal that you can run, which can help you against Fallen Female Pilots, and also Brave Marts, which are going to be stacking up damage reduction, so you can just nuke them and not really care about their Vantage. So not only she's going to be there for getting deploy status on the enemies and disabling the tanking strategies with Legendary Male Robin and Legendary Eliwood, but also helping your team nuke a lot better because Glacies is going to be doing so much damage with her resistance. Magical Null Follow-Up is also a slot B skill that you can run on a Brattle Catria team, but Special Spiral 4 can also work out, and this is especially going to be helpful against many of the dragon tanks that might have a scowl effect or have some kind of dragon wall. So her high resistance can be really useful against those kinds of units. Finally, if you do plus and merge her, then she could be used in arena as well, and she can score like a 190 BST unit, and she's going to be pre-charging her special, providing that ploy support, and Flare is going to be a high scoring special that you can run for arena usage. Flare is going to be giving you that healing, but it's mainly useful for arena usage on Sonya because she gets a lot better damage output with Iceberg, Glacies, or even the AoE specials. Hestia is a blue infantry mage who's given to us as a free quest reward from the Attuned Heroes quest, and after this banner is over, she is going to be in the 3-star 4-star pool, so she could be a merge project option as a modern blue infantry mage, and she does have Blardier Plus as her inhittable weapon, which is basically the non-seasonal version of Spider Plush Plus, which we got on Halloween Sophia 2 years ago, and we also got the Deer Tome on Bastion just this year, so this is the blue version of it, and this is going to be active in the enemy phase always, and in the player phase the foe's HP must be at or above 75%, so she can get +5 attack to herself in the combat and also inflict -5 attack debuff on the enemy, so basically like a Spendthrift effect, and she also gets the guard effect in the combat, so the enemies are not going to be able to trigger their specials unless they have some kind of tempo skill or null guard, and she also comes with attack resistance ideal 3 at 5-star and resistance ploy 3 at 4-star, which hasn't really happened before actually in all of these years, and she's our first unit who gives res ploy 3 at 4-star, so she could be useful for the bridging fodder for the tier 4 skills. And looking at her stat spread, she does have the standard free-to-play mage stat spread with high attack and high resistance. We can also compare her to the existing free-to-play blue infantry mages that we've gotten. So she is going to be comparing pretty well with Kadean Soren, having 1 extra attack stat than him, but Soren still has more resistance and also a bit extra speed. And even though Hestia is not going to be taking any kind of trade fruits or heroic grails to be built up, she's still going to be pretty hard to pull as a demote unit if you want to get the remaining 9 copies of her. So you're definitely going to be needing some RNG in your favor to get the extra copies of Hestia to plus and merge her. And she's pretty much like a modern Ilyana who takes a lot less dragon flowers and is a bit slow but does have a lot more attack and has pretty much the same resistance as her. So she's an alright blue infantry mage with the modern stats, and she also has a super boon in resistance which can certainly help her at high investment, and she can also make use of the Arcane Euphoria Tome, which we do have access to, so if you're going to be investing a lot into her, then that is going to be her best weapon. Everyone gets 2 copies of Hestia from the quest, so you can easily merge her up and build her, and if you're going to be building her up on a budget, then you can resistance refine her weapon and also get drawback and attack resistance link from a 4-star Orochi. So this can help with the ideal skill that she has got and also just giving her a bit more magical bulk. And Squad is Sacred Seal is again a pretty nice option for triggering the ploy skill and also giving you some extra bulk and attack. If you're going to be investing more into her with merges and dragon flowers, then you can try and run this kind of build from the Divine Codes and Limited Ephemera Manual. So we do have attack resistance unity and lull attack resistance in Divine Codes, which you can easily get, and we did get Fallen Male Morgan in the Ephemera Manual, so attack resistance menace could be a slotsy skill that you can run if you don't really have any other fodder, and because she doesn't really get any kind of guaranteed follow-up attack from this weapon, Quick Repose Sacred Seal is something that you can run. But still, this is definitely not the best weapon that you can have. But if you don't really have the arcane weapon, or if you don't really plan on getting it, then this can still be a build that you can run with her default Deer Tome. But she definitely wants that Arcane Euphoria from Rearmed Plumeria so that she can function at her peak with her attack and resistance. Arcane Euphoria does give you minus on special cooldown, so Iceberg becomes a 2 cooldown special. It also provides you with guaranteed follow-up attack, which is perfect for a unit like Hestia, who is not really all that fast. And it also provides you with 30% damage reduction on foe's first attack, which can be nice, especially with her high magical bulk. And it also provides you with true damage based on 15% of her attack, and that true damage is going to be added to the AoE specials. And an AoE build is definitely one of the easiest builds to run on her, as you can get Stillwater for Arcane Euphoria and Defense Res Ploy 3 at the same time from Rearmed Plumeria. And then you're going to be needing Special Spiral 4 so that you can loop your AoE special and also do even more true damage with your Blazing Wind. So this is a build that you can run with her attack stat, and she's going to be ploying a lot of enemies with her high resistance. You can also go with attack resistance finish 4 and her slot A if you're going to be running Iceberg, and you can easily loop it with Special Spiral 4 and pierce through the damage reduction, which is something you can hardly do with the AoE specials. And you can get plus 10 true damage out of the finish skill and spiral skill combined, and you also get 10 extra damage from exposure. So that is essentially plus 20 true damage, which is really good for nuking with her high resistance. And if you really like her a lot, then you can also give her the Attack Oath Echo skill, as she's mostly going to be running the Ploy skill in her slot C, so this can provide her with the teleportation and also give her the visible attack buff, which can help her with the nuking. You can also run her with Remote Mirror because Arcane Euphoria does give you 30% damage reduction, so you can stack it up with the Remote Mirror skill and have much better player phase sustainability with that damage reduction. And finally, if you're going to be going for even more premium skills, then you can run Fire Flood Boost 3 in her slot A, which is going to be giving her extra attack, resistance, HP, and also the guard effect in both phases. So that could be helpful as a bulky blue infantry mage, especially who can get damage reduction from Arcane Euphoria. And Flare is going to be the special, which can give you the healing, which can be pretty nice for the self-sustain. I'm going to be covering the remaining 3 units in my next video, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as echo skills on units with preferred skills. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.